Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 13 of the Psychotic and Iconic Sports Podcast. It's another episode without Pauls. We miss him. We can't wait till he's back. Thank you, everybody who joined our live stream on Monday night. We appreciate all the love, support, and comments. We can't wait to see you guys next week. And with that, we also have another announcement with the sports card shows coming up tonight, actually in Wildwood at the Convention Center, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then tomorrow, Saturday, August 26th, P and I will actually be there from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. and also Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we hope to see you guys there. Also, there's another sports card show coming up on September 24th through the 26th at Valley Forge Casino Resort. So we'll also be filming some content there, and we hope to see you guys there as well. So we're just going to get the show started, and then let's go, Mike. You ready to rock?
Let's fucking go,
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. It's a double division episode.
Right, let's go. We're rocking
Heavy
here.
pickle.
Double division, as promised. We got...
There he is. There he is. We miss him.
There he
We
is.
miss him.
I got way too many fucking buttons.
He slings heavy pickle. That's crazy.
Nah, I tried to hit this one.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
AFC
go, baby.
South and NFC South as promised. So double division episode. And we're going to have a little card twist inserted in there for all you card enthusiasts.
Card nerds like
Got some
myself.
more notes for you from the GOAT of the cards, NP Sports, over there.
Scream at me.
And yeah, let's get right into it. Let's talk about it. And Phil, hit the
Let's talk
fucking
about
music.
The AFC South, baby.
I almost just flung
We're
off my
rocking.
headset. Did you see that? Little too into it, I guess. That fucking song hits every time, and I get
does.
goosebumps.
It gets the
every
blood flowing.
time. Anyway, we'll start with the AFC South. Same structure as the last handful of shows. We're going to talk about division winners, possible playoff teams, fantasy notes when possible. Even if there's some card notes, we'll throw it in there. Well, we do know that today. We definitely have some card stuff for you.
Oh, yeah.
And not a live stream, so we're not going to have fan questions to answer. But just to clarify, everybody, before we go right into it, we will be having a live stream next week on Monday. We will announce the time early, likely on Sunday at some point. We'll announce the time, and we'll re-announce it on Monday again. That'll be our only live stream next week due to some scheduling conflicts. But going forward after that, we will be doing 2 live streams a week during football season, and it's going to be a permanent time slot, which is to be determined. So there will be no confusion anymore about our times. We were experimenting for a reason. All right? So that's that. And now,
Well said, Mike.
I mean,
Well said. Way to be informative.
we're always trying to be informational here. P&I is doing things here, all
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
P&I's everywhere. Anyway, AFC South. So we have already kind of briefed this a little bit in the past, but now it's interesting because where to start? We were thinking, all right, the Tennessee Titans might run away with this thing now because Carson Wentz is hurt, Quentin Nelson's hurt, and they might not be back for a number of weeks. Well, they're back.
Oh, yeah.
They're back. They're slinging heavy pickle. They're like, I got a healthy foot. Both of them say that. So
Yeah, they're practicing.
they're both practicing this week. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy. They're back. The
Quick
Eagles
turnaround.
The Eagles' first round pick is still looking like it's a possibility.
Major.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
But I genuinely want to see Carson Wentz succeed. I think the Colts are a sleeper team this year. So we're going to go right into the Colts first. We'll talk about who we think is going to win the division at the end of the segment. But yeah, the Colts storylines. So we just talked about the injuries. That was huge. Big deal. New offensive and defensive coordinators. All right. They lose Nick Sirianni to the Eagles. They lose, what's his name? Jonathan Gannon to the Eagles as well. He went with them. So that's a big deal. Okay. Can the defense be as good as last year? That's another storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're a bunch of no-name guys. Not a lot of people know all these players, but they're a very consistent group And they really broke out in a big way last year. They only lost a couple pieces. So
It's
they
an interesting team overall.
really
honestly.
interesting. So, I mean, now that we know that those guys aren't going to be missing time, man, we should probably just brief the players real quick. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz. My God, does news follow him these days? Philly's still like chirping him constantly, 24/7 on Twitter. Even when he was hurt, it's like, oh, I don't understand. There's just a crazy obsession. This guy was the Messiah just 3 years ago, 2 years ago even.
Mm-hmm.
And he's now like one of the most polarizing NFL figures. What do you think Carson's going to do this year?
I'll be honest, man. I think he's going to have a good year if he can stay healthy. Like, he's a dark horse to stay healthy. Like,
You've said that before.
Yeah, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. He's a dark horse to stay healthy. But if he can stay healthy, the Colts are a legit Super Bowl threat. They have the roster. They got the wide receivers. They have the running game, the offensive line, the defense. I think they're stacked. I think Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be a sleeper fantasy option. I think he's a sleeper card option as well. I mentioned that on previous episodes. I just like how they're built, man. You know, I know they have a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, but the talent's still there.
That
You know,
team drafts so well, and they've just been
Right.
so properly constructed by Chris Ballard, one of the best GMs in the league. I just want to throw that out there.
He's awesome. He knows how to work the salary cap to make the team much better than what they were, you know? So I'm high on them. I'm surprised, you know, they didn't go for Zach Ertz. I thought that he would be like a kind of a
Oh, man, I
pairing
know.
for Wentz, you know? It's like weird. But they have...
Don't rule it out.
Yeah,
got
I
money.
know. I get it, but they have like 3 pretty decent tight ends. Because like I think Jack Doyle's pretty decent. Mo Alley Cox, you know, had a great year last
Balls.
year. Yeah,
But for real, that's his name.
yeah, that is his
He's a
name.
big ass dude.
Trey Burton. So they have actually really good weapons, you know. And then last year, Phillip Rivers took them to the playoffs.
11-5 too.
And
Wild
I
card
would
team.
think
Mm-hmm.
at this point in, you know, Wentz's career, he's an upgrade for Rivers, you know, at that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know what I mean?
As
Like,
long as he don't play like last year.
yeah,
And you know I'm a Carson Wentz enthusiast.
yeah.
I still don't like that trade for the Eagles, but here we are.
I'm not a Wentz fan, but he's got talent. But the only reason I'm not a fan is because I just think he's injury prone, and it's just health for me. But if he can stay healthy, look out for this team. I see them, you know, really doing some big things and possibly, you know, knocking out one of the top tier teams in the playoffs. So we'll see.
I'll tell the audience this. When Carson got traded to the team, because I'm going to take a betting angle here, the odds of him being an MVP and the Colts winning the Super Bowl / making the Super Bowl, the odds were just, you could not ignore it. So I took all 3 of them. Little small wager. Doesn't mean I totally believe it. But I do believe Carson's a dark horse MVP. When he's with Frank Reich, magic happens. He's got everything around him. He's got the best offensive line in football. He's got Jonathan Taylor running the football, who looks like he's going to have a massive year.
Top 10 fantasy option.
Oh, yeah. And listen, audience, we're going to be covering top 10 running backs and top 10 receivers next week. So he will surely be on my list. I will promise you that. I'm not going to tell you how high, or else it's going to spoil
But
the
again,
surprise.
it also comes down to the health of Wentz too, because if like Wentz is not healthy, I don't know if I have Jonathan Taylor in my top 10, but we'll see.
Well, if Wentz isn't healthy this time around, at least he had time to recover for this. You know, he got back before regular season. If this happened during the regular season, I will bet you the house that, again, I'm gonna throw this bet. Of course, Paul's isn't here. And he didn't take my bet the first time. He would have won.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I said that I guarantee you the Colts had a backup, and they never did. This time I will guarantee you that Phillip Rivers will either come in via free agency or Nick Foles will be traded there if he is still available. I will guarantee it if Carson gets hurt during the season.
Yeah.
There is no wiggle room.
I wish Paul was here because like he loves Carson Wentz.
And he loves giving us dinner, right?
Yeah. Well, I lost a bet too though. But
Yeah, I never bet once with him yet, but I gave him the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's all about the opportunity, right?
That's right.
But the Colts, they have Jonathan Taylor. They have Nyheim Hines, one of the best weapons out of the backfield, catching the ball. They brought back Marlon Mack, who is a great change of pace in this scenario because, I mean, his career was on the upswing before that injury last year. T.Y. Hilton finally reacclimated himself in the offense later in the year. I think that Phillip Rivers, honestly, just had trouble throwing to a smaller receiver.
No, I think it just
That was one of the things he mentioned, too.
I think he just had trouble throwing it deep.
That
You know
too.
what I mean? Like, and now that he has Carson, like he has a much better arm. Like, I think T.Y. Hilton's going to be another sleeper too as well.
T.Y. came up clutch in the fantasy playoffs for people that did have him. You got Michael Pittman, who we all love here, and we mentioned him as a sleeper. We mentioned as a buy on the card market.
Absolutely.
Quick flip. Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell, speed demon. He was supposed to be a breakout guy last year. He missed the entire season. He's coming back.
Yeah.
Another outside weapon, more speed. Zach Pascal.
He gets
also
open.
proved to be
he just
a nice
gets
option.
Open. Yeah.
Okay? And then you get the tight ends. I mean, look, guys.
They're loaded.
I'm going to say this. And the defensive side of the ball, we kind of briefed on it the last show. They still got DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard as far as I'm concerned. Look out.
Oh, yeah.
Look out. They're stacked. They just got a bunch of no names that no one knows. So, Carson, I mentioned this on our quarterback special. I think Carson also has dark horse appeal to finish in the top 10 fantasy points. And he's not going to cost you shit. You might not even have to draft him. So, I like that. I like that because it's a value pick. It's all about value in fantasy. If this guy is even half his MVP potential and is playing on that team, he's going to be fantasy relevant.
Oh no, I agree
guarantee
with that.
it.
Yeah.
So
he could be a nice streaming option.
absolutely.
I know Powell's likes him as a dark horse MVP.
I do too.
That's
I do
sour
too.
talking for him. You know what I mean?
But I ain't sour like him. I'm just going to throw it out there. This is thoroughly researched. I think he's going to be a dark horse MVP candidate as long as he stays healthy. Biggest key and
Oh, you want sour too, fam?
well, maybe a little bit. But man, I just love the surrounding pieces for him.
Yeah, no, I do too, man. They're loaded on all fronts.
He couldn't be more motivated. I just think that he's going to be lights out this year. I really do.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor, I just want to say one thing. Top 5 upside. I mean, he led the NFL in rushing yards the last 4 weeks of the season last year when they finally cut him loose. And also, I want to point out one thing to the people that forget how this went down. He was kind of like, everyone was, the expectations were off the chart for him last year. And he might have gotten overdrafted as a rookie. People love taking flyers on rookies, okay? He did not adjust well initially to the NFL. When he figured it out and they finally made him the bell cow back, he was amazing. Like I said, led the league in rushing the last 4 weeks of the season, and he flashed everything that you wanted to see. This is a guy who literally could be a top 5 fantasy running back in PPR. Just throwing that out there.
I cringed a bit when you said people like to take a flyer on, rookie running backs coming out. I just thought of Royce Freeman, man.
Oh, man.
He fucked me so hard. Pause, fam. Pause.
Yeah, it was.
But no, on some real
you
shit.
can hit that again, Phil.
Yo.
That was a major fucking.
Bro, he crushed my whole season, man. It was bad. I fell flat.
You just had PTSD.
Yeah, dude. When
mean-
you said that, I was like, fuck. Royce Freeman came immediately to my mind.
But honestly, those higher end running backs that get drafted in the NFL tend to perform adequately as rookies in fantasy. So I don't blame people for doing it. I thought maybe he might have been the best running back in that class. They had a lot of good running backs in that class, but he showed us that he could do it now and he could be the lead guy. And he's going to have help around him. I mean, he doesn't have to be perfect. Literally, they got Naeem Hines too, and Marlon Mack's going to be sprinkled in.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
To me, I don't mind the ADP there, average draft position. I don't mind that he might be going a little high. I would imagine it's going to be in the 7 range, just best guess. And he might go higher for some people, but he also might go lower for the same reasons. It's just because people have PTSD from the first half of the
He's
season.
7
I'm going to imagine.
right now.
I think rankings-wise, that's right where he was.
I think that's kind of high.
Well, I'll save that for our running back rankings.
Yeah.
But
No, I mean,
I think he's got the upside to do it. So, receiving wise, though, We just talked about it. Michael Pittman could be like one of those guys that ascends into a wide receiver 2 if he hits his ceiling. And T.Y., I'm not going to go out and say top 25 option or anything, but when T.Y. was T.Y. over his career, that's what he was.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on it is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he'll be a nice flex option.
Because
Definitely.
like prior to
He's
this
draftable.
year, he was always drafted too early, in my opinion, and I always knock people on that. He always got drafted too high.
Mhm.
Now I think they have a realistic price tag on him. Now he's investable for me.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too. Just a
So-
quarterback alone, makes me excited about his fantasy potential.
And Hines as well actually should have fantasy value. He did last year. He was I forget the ranking, but he was definitely a top 25 back.
Oh, my God, Naeem Hines. Dude,
He
I was
had a
playing.
massive year.
I played against him one week, and he had like fucking 30 points or something. He was on fire. I was playing against Seamus, so shout out to Seamus. And, bro, this guy was doing it all that week.
He's
and
good.
he picked him up literally the day of the game.
Oh,
And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, I'm about to get smoked by Naeem Hines.
that's a worse feeling, especially when they start him.
I mean, it was a great pickup. So shout out to my guy Seamus once again. But, I mean, damn, he fucking almost like ruined me.
So here, actually, real quick before we move on, Jonathan Taylor is ranked 7th on ESPN.
Wow.
There you go.
I'm surprised, but we'll see. We'll see
Yeah,
how we rank our running backs. But
But
let's move on.
yeah, let's move on. Hold on one sec. Let me make sure. Oh, you know what? I got your card slam for you. I almost forgot. Nick, better long-term investment. While we're on the subject of Carson Wentz,
Okay.
better long-term investment: Carson Wentz or Sam Darnold? Hit me with it. Everyone, take out your notepads. All right, Nick, you may continue now.
It's got to be Carson Wentz, right? I mean, like I said, the Colts are a Super Bowl caliber team. Right now, Carson Wentz prices like a 2016 Panini Prism Carson Wentz rookie is going for $435. And Sam Darnold's actually really expensive. Sam Darnold Silver Prism 2018 PSA 10 is going for $840. Like for me, like I can get 2 Wentzes for that price. But if you think he's an MVP dark horse candidate, I think he's a buy. Immediately a buy. If the Colts go like 5-0 to start the season, his price it's going to be like $1,000 for Wentz. I firmly believe that.
I mean, realistically thinking, let's just look at it from like just a normal perspective. Take away the cards for a second, all right? I don't think you will ever be able to buy Carson Wentz this low because it doesn't get any lower than last year.
Yeah.
It don't. And he doesn't have many believers anymore.
He's a buy.
And this is also, I blame national narrative for this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they took this story and ran with it. They were looking for chaos, and they pinned it on him.
But guess what?
They
This is
forget
the
how talented
opportunity-
this guy
but this is a perfect opportunity to invest in somebody like that. If
Massive.
you actually believe in him and he could stay healthy, he's going to go up in price. I'm guaranteeing it right now. Double.
I'm right there with you. I literally want to buy a bunch of his cards.
I know. Me too.
So,
I just worry about that. But you know what? Like sometimes I'll protect my investment. So if I did buy Wentz, I might buy a few Raul Eason cards just to have to protect that investment. Because if Carson Wentz gets hurt, Jacob Eason is going to go up in price if he's playing. So like that there's an
point.
opportunity there, to protect yourself. If you spend too much on Carson and you believe in him too much, you can always buy Jacob Eason pretty cheap. So I think that's a good backup option as well.
So there you go, audience. Carson Wentz, invest. Sam
Yeah.
Darnold, no. Right?
No, I'm
Not even
I'm off
investable
that.
for you?
I mean, I sold all my Sam Darnolds in the offseason when he got traded to the Panthers, so I thought that was a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, you nailed it. See,
Yeah.
you bought him low last year when everyone should have been doing the same, and you sold high.
Well, yeah, he was
You made a lot of money off
he was
of
on the
that.
Jets for right, and then they were like fucking dog shit. They couldn't even win a game. So his prices
Toxic
were going
situation.
for like $70, $80. And then like in the offseason when he went to the Panthers, I was selling his card for about $310 to $350 range. So I literally made about 5x as my investment.
This is what people got to do. They got to look for opportunities and find the opportunities, create them for yourself even.
Because he's
You
got
have to.
talent, man. He's got
does.
talent. And that's the thing. Like the buzz would have been I bought him based on off-season buzz. And then I flipped it. You know what I mean? So like that's how you do it. You got to be smart with like, all right, what's the next move for a certain player that's very talented, but if he gets traded, he could have a lot of buzz around him. And that's who I found with Sam Darnold last offseason. So,
and we're going to talk about the Panthers later in this show.
Yeah.
We could talk about it a little bit more. But for now, we're going to move on to the Tennessee Titans, who, like I said earlier, it was looking like they were going to run away with the division with Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson out. But still, I mean, they've had a hell of an offseason. They make the unexpected trade for Julio Jones, which, I mean, it was just a wow move. It's a wow move. It's a move that you make as a contender. And now suddenly look at that receiver room. Look at their skill position, you know? The other storyline, I mean, will Derrick Henry return to 2K yards? We'll see. Did the defense upgrade enough? That's always been a question mark with this team.
Yeah.
New offensive coordinator, offensive line might be a concern. Half the line might be a concern. Right-sided, specifically. But new offensive coordinator. So, because Arthur Smith got that job with the Falcons. So, I mean, let's break it down a little bit. Let's talk about, first, do you think that Derrick Henry will repeat his season last year?
2,000 yards is a lot. But, however, I will say this. The addition of Julio Jones is going to open up the field for him even more.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm a
You
buy on
bet your
it.
ass.
I'm a buy on it.
Yeah? 2K.
I am, because you got to understand, too, there's another game this year as well. You're playing.
Oh, that's true.
You're playing 17 games versus 16. So
Even
I think his opportunity there is definitely going to be. I think he's going to do it. Yes, 2,000 yards. Yes, 100%.
Even I tend to forget that there's a 17th game. I'm just so hardwired to believe that there's 16 fucking games.
I know.
So when you put it that way, it's almost like he really kind of should. But, I mean, he's had these heroic runs at the end of seasons, late season, where he's getting 200 yards a game, and he just can't be stopped. I was originally thinking under. It's going to be close. So I'm going to still stick with under.
Okay.
Just because I think that they're going to want to hope that they can reduce a little bit of his touches so that he doesn't wear down. Not that that's been an issue for him, but I mean, it's important to note when you're getting 378 carries in a season, you definitely would like to trim that down by like 50, for real.
Well, I mean, here's another thing, dude. Like, you got to think about it like this. He thrives late in the year, right? But who the hell wants to tackle Derrick Henry 15 weeks into the football season, dude? Like, he's a fucking freight train coming at you.
You know how I would approach this? Given that I think with the Julio addition, and you and I both say this, I think they're going to be a lot more efficient running the ball earlier in the season. I would try to reduce his workload a little bit earlier on, and then, boom, second half, going into playoffs, fuck, I'm cutting him loose.
So go
that's
pass
when he
happy.
thrives anyway.
Go pass happy in the beginning, and then kind of like
even
switch it
necessarily
up.
that. Just like have some more balance. Don't be so run heavy, because the Titans were like 30th in passing attempts, I believe. Something along those lines. I might have just misworded that, but you get my point. They are not a pass-first offense. That's pretty obvious. They love to run the football, and they should.
Yeah. No, I like the Titans team in general. I think Tannehill's been improving almost every year.
He's been so impressive.
He's very efficient. Doesn't make many mistakes. With the addition of Julio, and you have AJ Brown, I like Anthony Ferguson. Weirdly enough, I think he's ranked about 17th tight end this year in fantasy. He could be a sleeper option.
By the way, I don't think he's starting right now, but he's going to play plenty. For anyone that is
He's
like
a
wondering,
sleeper guy. Like, he's sneaky. Like, when I watch him in the past 2 seasons, he finds a way to get open.
Yeah, when he's in there, they're looking to use him as a pass catcher.
Yeah.
So right now, if he doesn't start, I just want to say this to the people who were maybe a little cautious.
What, you think that Swaim's going to start?
Yeah, right now he's first on the depth chart.
That's a big mistake.
But I mean, yeah, I agree. But I think they will be used equally, and Ferguson will be the receiving guy. So, Swaim might be in there because they really do preach the run game.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how it is. They will probably be used equally. So, yeah, I mean, I like Ferguson.
I actually like Josh Reynolds, too. He actually played really well with the Rams.
He did. Whenever he got a chance to play, I mean,
he played phenomenal.
They got room for a third receiver. And he's going to have no attention on him, literally. I mean, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, and we're touching on receiver rankings, but I know that we already said to people that we're buying Julio as a top 10 receiver.
No doubt about it.
And guess what? every publication I've seen does not have him anywhere near top 10. So we're saying something that most people don't agree with. But we're saying both of them are going to be top 10. I mean, that might be sort of a bold prediction in itself. Because most people have A.J. Brown there, but people are a little concerned right now because Julio's not been practicing. I think they're just they're preserving his health.
Yeah, probably.
He has no reason to be practicing right now.
No.
A.J. Brown, though, is a little nicked up, and he was hurt last year. He missed a couple games. I'm not worried about either of them. I'm not worried about Derrick Henry's durability either. Like, I know the touches have been crazy high. I think this offense is going to be crazy. Like,
Yeah,
they're going to go.
well-balanced.
They're going to go apeshit.
Yeah.
For real.
They're going to be hard to stop.
They are, and Tannehill has really taken his game to another level. I thought he was cooked. Turns out it was just bad scheme fit. I mean, I always thought he was a gamer, but like, he's turning out to be one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. I mean, he's not been much of a risk taker, but he can make all throws.
Yeah, he's in my top 10.
He doesn't turn the ball over much.
As well. Yeah.
And we all had him in top 10, and that's not something that's common either.
No.
I'm seeing him more around like the 12, 13 range, everything I read.
I just think he's got a lot of weapons, man. I don't know how he's not a top 10 fantasy
And he
option.
was, 7th
honestly.
last year? He was 7th in fantasy points last year.
Yeah.
And he was ultra consistent. So we're pounding at the table a little bit here. We're saying buy the Titans offense. The defense, though, and Mike says this in his notes. I forgot to say Mike's pick with the Colts. But we'll get back to that. Mike is a believer in Carson Wentz. We've already said this.
Oh, yeah, I already knew that.
So, but Mike thinks that the Colts are going to be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Mike says that the defense can be had. You know how he says that. The Titans defense, they can be had. Right? So that's what Mike said, and I agree with him.
Yeah.
Because that's been the issue. This is a team that's coached by a defensive mastermind, if you want to call it, Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
And this defense has been garbage. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, no, it has. And I totally agree with that statement. I think what really helps the Titans is their ability to control the clock because they have one of the best running backs in the game.
They're going to need it.
Exactly.
That's their recipe.
That's
Time of possession.
That's gonna be their success.
The ability to score. Other than that, like, this is a team that traditionally has relied on defense, and they've been very weak there, and I don't think they did nearly enough.
They drafted Farley.
Yeah, but look at the risk that comes along with him.
I know.
They're hoping that, I mean, look, Malcolm Butler was a bust, but, like, Adoree Jackson is a good corner. They let him walk.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
they're
clearing out the whole room, and then you're expecting an injury-prone guy coming off of back surgery to step in and be your number one corner, who I like a lot. I like him a lot talent-wise, but that's a big ask.
Yeah.
And you don't know if he's going to start week 1.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
It's definitely their defense is a concern. But like I said, their ability to run the football, I think that kind of saves them in a way,
So we think that they're a playoff team, right? Do we think that?
I definitely do. I mean, I don't see how they're not.
I mean, we'll talk about division winners
shortly,
but, like, I'm thinking that they got to be a playoff team.
Yeah, no, I do think so.
I'm pretty sure Mike said the same. Hold on one sec. Let me check his notes. Yeah, Mike thinks the same.
All right.
But we'll talk about the division winner.
He took a night off of sour. Good for him.
God bless. So that's the Titans for you. We got to move on. Actually, here we go again. I got some more cards for you.
Let's go, baby. Oh yeah.
I got something for you.
That's
and this is we're talking about Derrick Henry here. Let me just say it, all right? Let me just say it. Better buy before the season. Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey, who we'll be talking about later in the show, but better buy before the season. CMC or Derrick Henry? Tell me, Nick. I need to know this.
Man,
let's talk about it.
This is tough, right? Because I think cards are predicated on team success as well, right?
Yeah.
And what's intriguing about Christian McCaffrey, he's pretty much going number 1 in all the fantasy options
so far,
drafts.
Maybe
pretty much the undisputed number 1.
Maybe not in non-PPR, but PPR he seems to be going number 1.
Yeah, like if anything,
it really depends. Like, there's some people that are a little nervous about him after last year, which I don't know how you could be. We'll talk about that later, but go ahead, continue your point.
Yeah. So CMC's 2017 Panini Prism Silver is going for $320 a PSA 10, right?
Okay.
Derrick Henry's 2016 Panini Prism Silver Prism is going for $590.
Wow.
So, okay. So a better buy. Like, what does Derrick Henry got to do for his price to increase? Like, he already rushed for 2,000 yards, right? And I think CMC, people are skeptical of investing in him because of his injury last year. So a better buy before the season, I would probably go McCaffrey. I think there's wiggle room because if Derrick Henry's the bar at 590 and McCaffrey has another crazy season where he's catching 90 passes or whatever, rushing for 1,600 yards.
Could be 2,000 total yards overall.
Right. And
20-plus touchdowns maybe.
And he's flashy. So, like, I would go CMC. I would.
I kind of feel the same way, Nick, because you know what? Like, I mean, the talent's off the charts for both of them. And they both could shatter records. That's how good they are.
Mm-hmm. And Derrick Henry's like a one-trick pony. Like, he just rushes. Like, he doesn't really catch the ball. Like, he's a beast. Don't get me wrong. He'll fucking stiff arm grown men to the ground, and that's fucking awesome. And like
King Henry.
Yeah,
Look
exactly. Out. But if Henry's at 590 and McCaffrey's at 320, like, I see like growth there for McCaffrey.
Right. I'm right there with you. I would probably buy him too because
I would go McCaffrey on that one.
It's all about the value.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's cheaper. If all other things are equal, and he's cheaper, give me CMC.
And he's had a great career up to his injury. So, like, I don't see him slowing down. I think he's going to come back stronger. I think he's going to play really well, and I think it's going to go up during the season.
And
so he's a buy.
This scheme that he's in, well, you know what? I'll save this for later. I don't want to say it. I'll save it for when we talk about them in the next, 15-ish minutes. So let's move on, though. Let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay? I'm not really sure. Like I still think they're ass. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to start when you're talking about a team. I still think they're ass, but
just cut straight to it.
Yeah, there's always a but here, okay? I don't know what to think of Trevor Lawrence right now. So there's a lot of expectations here, obviously. Number 1 overall pick, and he's been getting crowned for his entire college career. Let's just state the facts. Call a spade, right? Yeah. He's the second coming. He's the best prospect since Andrew Luck. I've heard it all. Okay? So we don't know if he's starting right away. We assume yes. That's one storyline. There's a new coaching staff on both sides of the ball. Urban Meyer's first time in the NFL. Can he coach at the NFL level? So that's like, those are the obvious 2 biggest storylines. And obviously, I mean, if you want to go a fantasy direction here, the running back room got crowded too. They go out of nowhere and they spend a first rounder on Travis Etienne when James Robinson was a pretty good back last year.
He might have been a top 10 option for me if they didn't draft that kid.
He might have been. I mean, the volume was there. He literally, okay, let me tell you guys a story real quick. I'm always on top of my news and stuff. I was plugged in with this team. And I picked up James Robinson post-draft in all 4 of my leagues, and he literally saved me in one because I had Saquon in one. I lost him. I got a top 5 back out of James Robinson.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He cooked last year.
Like, this is why you have to always be looking for value before the draft, during the draft, after the draft especially. The draft is just literally a quarter of the battle. You always have to supplement your roster in every way, shape, and form during the season. That's the biggest battle, I feel like.
Yeah.
The draft is just part of the battle. But, I mean, look at that. Look at what worked for me right there. James Robinson was a top 5 back last year, I believe.
I'll be honest. Jaguars are not going to be good this year, but I like their future.
Yeah.
If Trevor Lawrence is as advertised, they have a young group with DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, which I'm high on this year. I think he's a great fantasy option, honestly. Marvin Jones, they have Travis Etienne, and they have James Robinson. Like, they have a young nucleus. The problem is, I think their weak point is tight end.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be starting Chris Manhertz.
Who?
Yeah, Chris Manhertz.
That's my point. You know what I mean? Like,
James
who
O'Shaughnessy is in the background, but Manhertz might be okay. He's just probably not meant to start in this league.
No.
He drinks this drink, though.
No.
He's one of
Promote it, Mike. There you go.
Hashtag LTNC. You guys see this can on the show. Look. Manny Pacquiao, okay? He's the face of LTNC. Little investment tip right there, right?
It's just funny, like,
they see me with this can all the time. So
Tebow got cut, like last week. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Their tight ends to me are just very poor.
Tim Tebow had the best opportunity in NFL because that room is weak.
It's garbage.
And he still didn't make the team.
It's poop. Yeah, like straight
Major
up poop. Yeah, like I don't know. They might have the worst tight ends in the league. You know, but overall, I just don't. They're gonna have a bad year.
Yeah, they're gonna. I mean, the biggest takeaway for them would be is if Trevor Lawrence can play a lick, which I'm sure he can, but I am not so sure my expectations match what you're hearing everywhere else. I'm not sold on Trevor Lawrence's NFL prospects. I think he'll be good, but I'm not ready to say, oh, he's going to be the next elite quarterback. I'm not so sure he's the best QB in this class. I haven't liked
Wow.
I have not
Really?
loved.
Hit the alarm, Phil.
That is actually like a trendy take, too.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not speaking out of my ass. You know I know my shit. I
I'm not,
watched the
dude.
film, brother.
No,
Everybody knows
absolutely,
that.
bro.
When I say that, you should hit the fucking alarm.
Yeah, hit
Because if
the
you were
alarm.
thinking of drafting him, when you hear me say that, it should hold a little bit of weight. I'm just saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
I am not sold. And I don't listen, you better get an offensive line in
Are
there.
you talking about long term or just
long
like
term,
this year in
it's too
general?
early to say.
Yeah.
This year, of course, it's like if you see anything from him at all, like he looked pretty decent in preseason. I know that listen, I'm not Mr. Preseason here, but he has looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
He should. He's got skill position talent.
He
but
has the arm.
the offensive line, until they upgrade that. I mean, they got Cam Robinson on at left tackle. They let him go, thank God. But they need to upgrade that offensive line stat. Like that to me, I thought would be their biggest priority in this draft.
Yeah.
And they go and spend a first rounder on ETN, which, listen, I love a playmaker, but a first round running back is reserved for teams that are literally ready to win it all, in my opinion. Because you can get them all throughout the draft. Like, that is not a wise investment for a rebuilding team that has so many holes, and their defense is still not recovered. So, I mean, the defense is ass. It's just called what it is. It's called spade a spade. I don't even want to
Swiss
talk.
cheese.
I don't even want to talk about
Swiss
them.
cheese, baby.
I don't even want to talk about them.
They can't
All
stop
I'm going to
a
say about
nosebleed,
that
bro.
defense is you're going to be targeting them every single week in fantasy. You're going to be like, oh, they're playing the Jags.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's go, baby.
Scoop him up.
Start them all. Start everybody. All right?
I think
That's all you need to know about that defense.
I think the best fantasy option on that team would probably be Laviska Shenault. I
He's got
like
the
his
most
upside.
upside.
Yes, absolutely. Chark had a great year. Marvin
well, 2
Jones
years
might
ago.
have some
2 years
value.
ago.
Yeah, oh yeah, 2 years ago. Sorry.
Last year, yeah, down year for him.
Yeah, down year, but he's got potential. And
Yeah, I mean, less attention because Marvin Jones has been a very consistent player.
yeah.
So we shouldn't just write that off. They got pieces there. I just don't know how you're going to keep Trevor Lawrence upright enough.
Yeah, nah, they're like floating with the Texans. I mean, at least they have more talent than the Texans. So
What happened to them?
Let's translate to them. You know
Yeah,
what
I mean,
Like,
and I guess we should say one note here, like the running back room. Listen, ETN can play, so
Oh, yeah.
you don't draft a guy that high if he's not going to play. Like, listen,
PPR option definitely.
I know they're saying Robinson might start. I got news for you guys. This is a first-round running back who is a playmaker his entire career at Clemson, and he's going to play. So he might not be like right out the gates top option. This could be like a Jonathan Taylor situation where when he figures his shit out, he's going to be an upper echelon fantasy option. I'm not saying I believe that, but like you should keep an eye on that situation as it unravels. And
Yeah,
he will
no.
have some value, like you just said, because he catches passes.
Exactly. And
So-
I think Urban Meyer is going to actually put James Robinson in the backfield, and then I think he's going to have Travis Etienne in as a wide receiver.
Yeah, he's definitely going to run some routes.
Two running back sets. You have Shenault because of the lack of tight ends.
He'll be in the slot a
Tight
little
ends
bit
are
too. I'll
garbage,
bet you
man.
that.
So like I don't know. I think they're definitely going to be on the field at the same time.
But I am for the people that asked, this question came up on a show. I am out on Trevor Lawrence as a fantasy asset this year.
I agree.
Like, I'm out right now at least. It's a wait and see for me.
Mhm.
And even so, I'm not ready to buy in on that. And keep an eye on Gardner Minshew because there might be a team out there that needs to trade for him. If there's a quarterback injury, like he's a guy who once was seen as a possible intriguing prospect. I don't think that the
Yeah.
market's down on him just yet. Obviously, the Jags had a ton of issues, so
Yeah.
just keep an eye on it.
Let's move
Right.
on from that garbage team.
Yeah, we're done. That we took a little more time on that than I thought.
Oh
actually.
shit, we're going from trash to more trash.
This
Jesus.
is the epitome of a garbage can.
Yeah.
The Houston Texans. We've talked lengths about Deshaun Watson. That is the obvious headline with this team, his scandal and whatnot. And we're not going to talk about too much of that, other than we have no idea how it's going to play out. It's unlikely he's playing this year, so that team loses all relevance right there. He masks a lot of their weaknesses. There is a QB battle going on right now. Tyrod Taylor versus Davis Mills. It's likely going to be Taylor to start the year, but I'm sure they're going to want a sneak peek at what Davis Mills can do.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, well, first of all, I'm happy they hired David Culley as the head coach. It's a shame he's walking into a dumpster fire, because
It's literally a dumpster
guy,
fire.
You remember him from the Eagles. I think you met him.
Yeah, I met him.
He was there when you were there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best guys you'll meet in the NFL. He is very knowledgeable, and all of the players love him. I actually think he can have success as a head coach. I just don't know if this was the right opportunity. And honestly, for him, as a guy who's been around the league for so long, this might have been his only opportunity. So he took it, rightfully so. And if they rebuild after a Watson trade or whatever, he's got the reins. So I'm happy for him. Give him a clap, Phil. All right. David Culley, he's the man. He's one of the nicest people ever.
Yeah, he is.
Loved him.
My
Coach Culley.
overall prediction with this team, they're probably not going to win more than 4 games. They have a great plethora of running backs, but they're old and they're kind of washed, I would say, at this point in their career. Philip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, David Johnson, and Rex Burkhead. They're good backs, but they were good probably, I would say, 2017? They would have a fucking monster season.
Honestly, this was a room where they just kept adding people where I was like,
doesn't make sense.
First they signed Mark Ingram. I'm like, oh, that's actually a nice fit, because I think he's got a year or two left in him and he could be a workhorse. Oh, but then they bring in, I think the next move was Rex Burkhead, which, not too much of a big deal, but he'll play.
He has some spurts where he's pretty good. You know
David
what I mean?
Johnson towards the end of the year really heated up. Obviously that trade was a disgrace with the Cardinals.
God.
And
Jesus.
Bill O'Brien, thank God he's out. That's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed.
That's exactly why he's out.
Yeah. And don't forget the Tunzel trade.
My God.
Then Philip Lindsay gets brought into the picture, who I'm surprised the Broncos didn't bring him back. He's definitely a good player. He's a guy who's meant to be in a committee.
Yeah, he's young too.
But it's just a crowded room now. So it's just now I don't want to invest in this running back room for fantasy. I don't want to invest in them at all. There's 4 guys who could legitimately have fantasy value. I'm out.
I'll be honest. I don't have any value in the Texans. I don't want anybody on the Texans.
Yeah,
I don't want their running backs. I don't want Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. Kiki Cutie?
No,
Jordan
I don't want him.
Akins?
He could play Jordan Akins when he has a quarterback. He actually is pretty decent.
I don't mind him.
No, I don't mind
But,
him. Do I think he's a top 10 fantasy play? No, but he's a nice streaming option if your top tight end is out for a week. But I don't see this team winning more than 4 games. That's
They're
the
going to
bottom
win the
line.
number 1 pick of the draft. That's what they're winning.
Probably. And that's probably what they're hoping. So they can trade Deshaun, get the number 1 pick, get their quarterback for the future, and rebuild.
And and then hopefully at least Davis Mills is good enough to be a backup. That's the best case scenario. And then you will have multiple first-round picks to build around.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
It's not even worth going into them. They are just not fantasy relevant. I want nothing to do with them. Maybe in a pinch in a streaming situation because Tyrod Taylor can run a little bit. But Brandon Cooks as a number 1 receiver is unacceptable. He's a great number 2 receiver at this point. He probably can still play a little bit, but you can't even trust him to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So that's it for the Texans. It's not even worth talking about. So quickly, Nick, who is your division winner?
I'm gonna go with the fuck, man. This is tough because it really depends on Wentz's health. Honestly, do I think he's gonna be around all season? I probably don't. But then again, I think about their overall team. They're a much better team than the Titans.
Oh yeah.
Defense and offense, they have the weapons still.
They got one of the best rosters in the NFL.
Right.
Top to bottom.
And their line is probably one of the best in the NFL. And they have a great running game, just like the Titans. I'll go with the Colts.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Colts. And I don't feel good about it because of Carson Wentz's health history. But I'm going to go with them because I think they're a much better roster than the Titans.
Kind of like the 49ers situation. If the QB situation settle,
Yeah.
look the fuck out.
Yeah.
That team is stacked.
Yeah, I got the Colts going 12-5, 11-6, depending on the health of Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Again, I got the Titans going about 11-6, 10-7. I got the Jags being probably about 5-12.
That's actually a compliment.
No cap.
That's a compliment.
And I probably had the Texans probably going 3-14.
That's
If
even a compliment.
that. You know what I mean? Like,
You're being very generous.
I am.
That's
You
nice
know,
of you.
I know. I mean, we
No,
trashed them for the whole
yeah,
show, so
yeah.
I'll give them a couple gifts here
They
and there.
need some
you know what I mean?
optimism,
Yeah.
Lift them up a little bit, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
this
Positive
division-
vibes.
This division winner situation is interesting. For me, it always came down to if Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson were coming back week 1, which is looking likely. So this is the division winner for me. They always were, and the only time that I ever questioned it was when they got hurt.
Yeah.
The Titans defense can be had, as
Yeah.
Mike says. They can be had. All right. Mike says Colts win the division. If Wentz is healthy, they'll be in the AFC Championship game. I'm feeling it, man.
I didn't go that far, but I wish
He
he was
says
here.
no cap, of course.
No, that's what he
He's
said?
confident. And listen,
That was in his notes? No cap, of
no
course?
cap, of course. Titans will be a wild card. They can be had on the defensive side, but overall, that offense is going to be lethal. That's what he
He's
said.
so shot.
Mikey.
Oh, man, we miss him.
Lonzo Pauls.
Let's move on to the NFC South.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, let me double check one thing. Actually, hold that thought, Nick. You missed out on your boy.
Who's my boy?
There's only one. And his name starts with a T and ends with a B. And the number is 12.
Oh, my God. Tom Brady's card that sold for, what, $2.8 million?
You hold that. Phil, sound this alarm. Sound it right now. It's a huge sale. Another huge card sale.
Bro, that's just massive.
This is wild.
Another breaking fucking record, man.
Let me announce this shit because it's a new record every week in the card market.
I
This
know.
is just a quick announcement, guys. Like, this is like, the audience needs to hear this. Tom Brady non-numbered rookie cards sold for $2.88 million. The highest sale of a non-numbered Brady rookie card ever. This same exact card sold a couple months ago. The last sale price was 5 times less
Wow.
than this one.
That's
so in a couple
crazy.
months, the sale price went up 5 times.
So, yeah, this card is the 2000 playoff contenders Tom Brady autographed. I guess it's an on-card autograph. It's not the sticker shit that, people buy.
Gem Mint 10, right?
It's a PSA 10. The auto is a 10, and the card itself is a 10. So, $2.88 million. That is massive. But you know what this does for me? It's actually like I think about his actual rookie card, his 2000 Bowman Chrome Tom Brady rookie card, PSA 10. That's actually going for about 17 to 18K. I think it's a bargain. I do. Because if all his cards are going up in price, those cards are going to have value in the end too.
Major
and that's
payout.
his actual rookie card. Like his real rookie card.
At this point, wouldn't you just say, if you got a Tom Brady card, just fucking hold it.
Just hold it. Just
hold it.
Just put it in your safe.
It's
and then
legendary.
Just,
He's not
just-
done yet.
Just cool.
He ain't done yet. He
Hell
ain't
no.
done
Hell
yet.
no. Nah, he's not done. So
Eight's loading, right?
it's coming. No, I definitely think it's a buy. I mean, I wish I had $18,000 floating around because I would definitely buy one. I can see this car doubling next year, regardless of the result. When he retires, it's literally going to be, it's going to be $100,000 one day. Quick.
I believe it.
Quick. Because I think, I kind of go back to him and LeBron. I mean, LeBron's was kind of going for like 50K like last year, and then it kind of went back down to earth. But it's just going to keep swinging. That's the car market.
So there you have it. There you have it. I mean, Tom Brady cards sell. If you can acquire one, you go out and you get it.
Oh, absolutely.
All right? But that's a perfect segue into our next segment. Actually, Phil, I don't mind some Sunday Night Football theme. I don't mind that. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Tom Brady under the lights.
Yeah.
Sunday night.
I can see him come out of the tunnel right now. He's coming out. Fired up. Fire the fuck up.
He's cursing us off.
Fire the cannons.
Fire the fucking cannons, baby. Yeah, there it is. Let's go. NFC South. Oh, man.
This is
Perfect segue into the Bucs. Let's just start right away with the Bucs. We'll talk about division winners shortly. I mean, that's fucking obvious. Anyway, the Buccaneers. They returned literally everybody and then some.
Mm-hmm.
And they hit their stride. I mean, they came out cold to start the year. Once they figured it out, oh, man, it was a sight to see on both sides of the ball. I mean, man, it's just like...
They're all back.
The only question is, can they repeat, and are they going back to the bowl?
Run it back.
They're going back, aren't they?
I think so.
I mean, you don't have to say if they're winning it unless you really want to. You can change this pick when we go to our final show before the season starts.
They're gonna win a Super Bowl.
You think they're winning again?
Yeah.
Repeats.
Yes.
Damn.
I don't care. I mean, who's in the way? They had their whole team back.
Kansas City.
Camaraderie. No, I camaraderie really matters in the NFL, and I feel like they play for each other. This is a locked divisional winner, barring any injury, of course.
Yeah.
They're all back, man. Like I think AB is gonna have a great year, a much better year, another year in the system. Mike Evans is gonna have another great year. Chris Godwin is looking to get paid next year, so I think he's going to have a
and he'll be
big,
healthier
big
this year too.
Absolutely, he had a lot of injuries last year. I was a fantasy owner for him myself, and it was kind of frustrating because he has potential.
Yeah, because you've seen what he can do when he was leading the show a little bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say leading, but like
I love Scotty Miller too.
Tom Brady just knows how to spread the ball around.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Funny note here. Scotty Miller. I wrote down Adam Humphrey because they're like the same two people.
Yeah, they are. They're like little slot guys.
I don't know why I did that. That's me we're talking about.
I love Scotty Miller.
Listen, when you're up burning the midnight oil, writing these notes down, sometimes shit happens, all right? I ain't perfect.
Their tight ends are loaded. They got Gronk, OJ Howard, Cameron Braid is awesome. I think the only fantasy relevance there is probably Gronk.
Yeah,
definitely.
touchdowns.
Definitely touchdowns.
Unless there's an injury or something, and then OJ Howard. I mean, it depends on who, but
yeah,
OJ Howard always had the upside. It's a shame.
I think Ronald Jones is going to actually have a pretty good year. I'm higher on Ronald Jones than I am on Fournette.
Thank you. I said that last show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I'm with you.
I ain't into playoff Lenny. I ain't into Super Bowl Lenny.
Super Bowl Lenny.
All right.
No, he's going to have his games, but I think Ronald Jones is the better overall player.
I've been a Dalvin Cook guy since day one. I'm sticking to it. Lenny ain't for me. All right.
Super Bowl Lenny.
But he's okay. He's all right.
Lenny.
I mean, he's that might have to be the episode name. Look after Lenny.
Lombardi Lenny. Here comes Lenny. No, I mean, they're locked to win the NFC South.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not even a question for me.
We already touched on Brady being a top 10 option. Mike had him in the top 5. Jones, I like his fantasy relevance better in this case. I think he will be the better back, but they will be sharing.
He'll be a spot start.
So he'll be like a top 20, top 25 back instead of what he would be if Lenny wasn't getting touches.
Lenny.
And it'll be good for both of them because they have durability issues. So Godwin and Evans, it's tough to pick between them. The talent is obviously there. They'll probably be top 25 options. They just won't have the volume to go up higher. They have the potential because they're just so good. Antonio Brown, for me, is one of my favorite sleepers. I literally drafted him in all my leagues last year, and I put him on the IR.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why they allowed me to do that. The IR was working.
He's intriguing. Because he plays a slot, he plays the outside.
Look the fuck out! This was the best receiver in the league 2 years ago, and he still looked like he had it.
No,
he just wasn't getting the volume.
Yeah,
he should be cooking.
I was watching some videos of him in training camp, and he's been cooking these DBs.
Listen, bro, my reputation's at stake. Last year I was saying it. I said while he was not even on a team that he's the best in the league still. I'm not going to stray away too far from that. I'm not going to say he's the best receiver in the league right now because that just wouldn't be fair. But this man can still play.
So wait, do you think he's the best receiver on this team?
I would not be surprised in the slightest if he finished first on this team. I'm not going to put that on paper, but just don't be surprised if it happens.
Okay. I'm not surprised. I won't be surprised. I like his upside this year. No, I agree with you. I think Antonio Brown's going to have a great year. He's got the connection with Brady. Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, he could be one of those massive value picks. You don't have to pay a premium to get him.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just like, if I hear the words, oh, he might be top 30, top 25, given his price tag, I'm investing the hell out of it.
No, I agree with you on that.
He can still play.
Yeah.
And listen, I mean, all the other shit aside, like, look, he looks like he got his life back together. He had a rough little patch there, and I hope he figures it out. I love watching him play.
He got in a fight against the Titans DB in practice.
Yeah.
Straight up socked him.
But look, that shit, like, it's going to get overlooked. Not overlooked. It's going to get read into too much because it's AB.
Yeah.
But
his reputation.
What? Everybody fights.
Right.
Everybody fights in fucking training camp. This is
I'm with you. Let's move on to the Saints, though.
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah.
I think the Bucs were already covered.
Yeah, we talked about their fantasy value. That's really the only subject.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the Saints. The Saints come marching in. Jameis Winston's in town. Get your crab legs, right? Eat them W's. You got a lot of W's this year, right? I'm sorry, Jameis. You ain't going to be.
Shot out.
Listen, let me just, you know what? We've been straight shooting with this division. They ain't going to be eating a lot of W's this year, in my opinion.
The hell they ain't.
There's a lot of people that still have in the playoffs. I don't see how you could justify that now with no Michael Thomas.
I hope Powell's is not one of those teams.
No,
or one of those guys that thinks that.
I mean, I can bring up his notes real quick. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He included the Saints in the playoffs?
No.
Okay.
It's a clear cut.
He's smart.
Bucks.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah. But, so the obvious interesting situation there is the QB battle. Drew Brees retired finally. We don't know what's going to happen. And the wide receiver depth is a major question mark. Michael Thomas might miss a lot of time. He might be back week 1. We don't know yet. The defense and O-line have always been stout. They still are. So that is the question. Like, are they a playoff team? Which all three of us have said already on record, no. So who do you think's winning the QB battle? If you had to pick right now, and who puts a team in a better position to win? Follow-up question right there.
I think Jameis Winston's going to win the job, but I think he might lose his job to Taysom Hill later down the season. I think Taysom Hill is probably the best option for them now. Like, he gives them a spark. Like, when I watched him last year, and he played, he was actually very, very good. He could run the football. He's just a football player. And I think his teammates, respect him.
They all buy in, man.
Yes, they buy in.
He's paid his dues in this league.
Like, Jameis Winston's corny to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, his speeches are fucking corny. He's just not a good player. Like, he's just not.
I mean, by all accounts, they say they like him and stuff, but, man, Taysom's been there for much longer. I mean, we'll see. If you asked me right now, I'd handicap it and say Jameis is the favorite.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But
to me, the reason why he would win the job is not just because they want to see if he can do it, and he's a traditional pocket passer, but also Taysom Hill might need to play some snaps at wide receiver.
Yeah.
And tight end. For real.
Yeah, I think the only fantasy option for me, obviously barring injury with Michael Thomas, his availability, I think it's Alvin Kamara.
Clear cut.
But if I have Alvin Kamara, I'm definitely handcuffing. I'm getting the handcuff in Latavius Murray because Latavius Murray could play.
He can. He should probably be drafted late rounds just because he gets enough work, too. Yeah. Not just because he's a handcuff.
And if Kamara...
I'm not about that handcuff shit.
I am.
Not till playoff time. I don't waste a draft pick on that unless it's a really deep league. In a 10-team league...
I do to protect my investment.
Like, in a 10-team league, you can't justify that with me unless, there's nothing else available.
No. I'm in, 12... 14 team league. So you gotta protect your investment.
And given that he actually gets playing time,
yeah,
he can still produce
Lat
even
Pasillo.
on Episode.
Yo, he is good. I'm serious. Latavius Murray can produce.
There's like a handful of backs in the league where you give them 10 touches at a change of pace, and they actually will do something. Like Kareem Hunt, Latavius Murray. They're guys that can have value despite being backups.
Mm-hmm.
Alvin Kamara, clear-cut top 4 option at this point.
Wow. Top 4?
I mean, that's where he's going.
Yeah, I mean, I
Top
probably
5 is a
agree with you.
lock. He was number 1 last year.
I'm scared though, man, because I feel like a lot of teams could crowd the box because they don't have that actual quarterback.
But the reasoning is because if we're talking PPR, he's going to get those dump ball passes. Granted, the number of dump ball passes dropped when Breeze wasn't in the lineup. That's something to monitor, but I think Sean Payton will always find a way to get these guys involved.
Yeah.
So Alvin Kamara is just a special talent, set it and forget it guy. Top 5 option for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. But Michael Thomas, I mean, I think he's definitely an option to look at, but I don't think he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver.
He's
like
going high right now, by the way.
Which I'm surprised about.
I don't understand it.
Slant Boy Thomas.
I don't want any part of that situation. Maybe he's a trade target for me. Like if I'm looking through teams and they're like, I'm sick of waiting for this guy. Like week 5 comes around, I'm like, I'll get him for my bench, and maybe he'll start for me in a couple weeks.
Yeah, He's not one of my targets.
Fantasy value though, I'm ignoring all those receivers. You got Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, Ty Montgomery is back at receiver again.
Yeah.
Adam Troutman's the tight end. Like I want nothing to do with this shit, and it's a shame because when Thomas is in the lineup, maybe it makes it a little bit more interesting. Like maybe Traquan Smith can sneak in there as a wide receiver 4, or otherwise, though, until he does return, the only other player besides Alvin Kamara and a tiny bit of Latavius Murray that I would be interested in is if Taysom Hill got the job. I mean, he was a top 10 fantasy option when he was quarterbacking.
Well, that's because
because of the legs.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the passing production was kind of there. He was putting up stats. I might have it in front of me.
He was actually like a tight end option in the ESPN.
Yeah, that whole thing definitely caused a lot of fights.
That was massive.
It did in a few of my leagues. In a couple of them, it didn't. And I did have him at tight end in one. I'm like, all right, listen, I was the one who was smart and went out and got him. So I followed the rules. ESPN says he's eligible. He's playing.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
And Jameis Winston's prices are fucking crazy, too. His 2015 Panini Prism base is going for $230. Like, I'm selling that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to tank. I think it's going to tank to like about like $50, $60 by the end of the year.
Yo, but
I'm not a big believer in Winston. I don't think he's going to, take that team anywhere.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like his success, his card market is, predicated on team success.
I'm out.
I'm out on that. So I would
at
sell.
that cost, especially.
I would sell. I would sell on him.
But I want to point out one thing before we move on from this team. So Taysom Hill last year, there were only 6 QBs who scored more fantasy points during his stretch as a starting quarterback, which was 4 starts, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Only 6 QBs scored more fantasy points. He was a top 13 option in all 4 weeks. So he has legitimate QB1 upside in fantasy if he does start. Just saying.
Just because of his ability to run the football.
And it matters. It matters, right?
Yeah.
So there's that.
He does vulture a lot of Kamara's touchdowns, too.
He does.
That sucks.
He had 8 rushing touchdowns last year. I mean, that's something.
Yeah.
That's something to keep an eye on. You got to see how this quarterback situation breaks. Nick, you did just talk about the Jameis Winston card.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to move on to the Atlanta Falcons. And this is another one that's pretty cut and dry. We got 2 more teams left before we end this episode. So we're on a pretty good pace tonight. All right. The Atlanta Falcons. Julio trade, number 1 storyline. Kyle Pitts, another storyline. Pick him at number 4. They opted to not draft a QB there. Mike Davis is now their starting running back. That's always been a shaky run game recently. The defense is still kind of shaky. I know they got Deion Jones, but not much after that. New head coach in Arthur Smith, who does know how to get the most out of an offense. Look at what the Titans did. Look at what it did for Ryan Tannehill. Okay. Ryan Tannehill. We need Mike for that, man.
Yeah, we do, man.
But, I mean, that's the storyline. So, let's go right into it. Matt Ryan, I mentioned as a fringe top 10 option based on volume alone, but also I want to make that Arthur Smith note because that could mean something there. And they still do have some skill talent. The offensive line is pretty good. It's not great. It's good, though. And they're going to be throwing a ton. They're going to be
That's
losing.
their MO.
Like, they're going to be behind in games. They were a competitive team last year, though, with all the issues on that roster. They were in a number of one-score games.
They blew a lot of leads, too, which
Like that's
they're known for that.
That was Dallas's only win in the first 4 games. That was Atlanta winning by, they were up by like 3 touchdowns.
Dude, that was literally insane.
That was Dallas's only win in their first 4. Everyone seems to forget. They're like, oh, Dak's coming back. We're going to win.
Yeah,
they were 1-3, and they were ass with Dak in the lineup. Sorry, had to point that out. I always have to
shit on them.
throw shade when I can. So Matt Ryan could be one of those guys where it's like, he's actually a valuable backup quarterback, possible starter. It depends. We'll see. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, he's always put up good stats his whole career.
He's a compiler, stat compiler.
Yeah, like
4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and they come in bunches sometimes.
the loss of Julio hurts him, but he didn't have Julio last year, and I think Matt Ryan had a pretty decent year.
Yeah.
And then they have Kyle Pitts, and then they have Calvin Ridley. I think he's a legitimately wide receiver 1.
This is a guy who should be top 10, and this is another guy we'll talk about, I'm sure,
Yeah.
in the rankings.
Oh, sure.
But top 5 potential. He was right around there all year last year till he got hurt, and I think he still finished top 5.
I like Mike Davis a lot. I think he could run the football. I don't know about where he stands as in terms of rankings yet.
I'll go 25 to 30 range, but based on volume and volume alone, if he stays healthy, maybe he can go top 20.
Well, I think he's got a lot of
I'm kinda
upside
out,
then.
though.
If you have him in the 25-30 range, he's got a lot of upside.
I think he's
And
going to
to
be
me-
drafted too high.
Probably.
Honestly. So that's to me, it's like the volume's going to be there, and volume's always king, and he's going to have, goal line carries.
I just worry about
they just
them-
don't run the ball enough anyway.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I just worry about their ability to stay in the games, for them to run the football. I mean, they're usually behind in games where they're always playing catch up, and then that's why you have Matt Ryan's stats. He's throwing for 4,000 yards and stuff like that. I mean, the team is always dog shit pretty much. But they have good pieces. I think Calvin Ridley's definitely a legit wide receiver.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay up this year if you want him.
Yeah,
he was going round 3, 4. Now you're going to have to pay.
I'm not sure if you saw that clip of him cooking Xavier Howard on that one-on-one.
Oh, quick feet eat.
Yeah, like he cooked him straight up. And then Russell Gage too is definitely an intriguing option as well.
Yeah, keep an eye. I mean, he could wind up being a wide receiver 3 because they throw a lot.
Yeah.
And they got Hayden Hurst in there still. He might be like a streamer week to week. If something happens to Kyle Pitts, he'll be relevant again.
Mm-hmm.
But Kyle Pitts, we already said, all 3 of us had him in our top 5. I had him number 4 over Mark Andrews. I'm standing with it. That's pretty much it for the Falcons, though. They're like a fantasy team. They're not a real team, really.
Yeah.
They're like their offense has some relevance in fantasy. So pretty clear cut. Let's move on. We're ending it with the Panthers. And they're interesting. They're interesting this year because, first of all, everywhere Matt Rule's gone, year 2 has been phenomenal. Every single year. So I expect them to be competitive this year. They might be a surprise team even. I'm not even going to rule that out because they got some pieces there. I like what they did drafting J.C. Horn on defense. They got Jeremy Chin last year. They got Brian Burns already there. They got some stud linebackers. They got Shaq Thompson. So they got pieces there. The offense, though, Christian McCaffrey, he's back.
No, he's definitely back.
Look the fuck out.
Yeah,
They traded for Sam Darnold, which, considering where they were in the draft, the 8th pick, they weren't sure if they were going to get one of the top guys, and they felt safe going with Darnold and his upside. And listen, if he does well, they got him cheap right now, and they'll probably be able to extend him fairly cheap.
Yeah.
In comparison to what would have happened if he broke out with the Jets, and it's interesting. The whole trade wrinkle kind of makes me think that he could be a value kind of guy as a signing. He might get that low end money as a QB.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I actually think Carolina's got the ability and the team to be the second best team in this division.
They
this year.
could.
Weirdly
I
enough.
kind of feel that they will be. If you're
I
asking
think
me
they're
right
going to be
now,
competitive. You know, I like Darnold. I that's why I really like Darnold. I think he's got a lot of upside. Christian McCaffrey, he's like probably one of the best running backs in the game. Robbie Anderson, I love. He had a great year last year.
Shout out Temple University.
TU,
They
baby.
got a lot of TU staff over there.
DJ Moore is good.
TU, baby.
Absolutely.
You get that on camera, Phil? TU. All right, don't forget that shit. They got a lot of Temple people there.
DJ Moore is definitely a great fantasy option as well. Like I actually like their core.
Yo, and they drafted Terrace Marshall.
Yeah.
Who can play?
Yo, he can play.
He's going to be a stud, I think, right away.
I like their team. And like you mentioned, the JC Horn pick. Like I actually really like that. I think he's gonna be a fucking nice corner for them.
I loved it
for years to come. So, I'm big on the Panthers this year. I like Matt Rule as a coach as well. And yeah, I think they might be second in division.
I really
crazy enough.
I even like their offense. I mean, CMC, man. He's going to probably wind up going number 1 in all drafts. PPR, it's like pretty clear cut. I mean, you should consider Dalvin and Kamara in a PPR draft because you have to. They've been putting up those numbers too.
I think CMC is a lock for number 1 in PPR.
CMC will probably go number 1 ADP.
Yeah.
But non-PPR, I still kind of lean that direction right now. I think you'll see in my rankings whether or not I change my mind. But non-PPR, I kind of still feel like he's number 1, but that's a situation where you got to consider Derrick Henry and, so obvious value there. And he could have 2,000 total yards. Sam Darnold, though, interesting. I mean, listen, he's got the surrounding pieces. He could wind up in the top 10 also. He's one of those guys that was like right on that border. If he hits, if he lives up to his potential, he could be a top 10 quarterback in fantasy. It's possible.
A top 10 quarterback.
Because he's had moments, Nick, he's had some real fantasy relevance. 2 years ago, he was one of those guys that against certain teams, like there were some times when the Jets had like 4 or 5 easy matchups in a row, and he was a set and forget for me in one league. I had him in there because I had a quarterback injury. And he literally won me all 4 of those weeks.
It depends. He might see ghosts in a couple of weeks.
You never know. I mean, but anything's better than that situation he was in.
God.
And Robbie, I think Robbie was like the breaking news of fantasy football last year.
It was the coming out party for him.
He was an elite fantasy receiver last year. He was leading the NFL in receiving yards for a number of weeks.
I agree.
Kid can play. He's got burners, bro. And he can run routes now, too.
Yeah,
he's not a one-trick pony.
I like their team, and I think they got a nice, young core. I think they're going to be very competitive this year, and
so you might have 2 top 20 receivers right there, and you got sleeper value in Terrace Marshall and Dan Arnold. By the way, I'm just going to throw this out there that they went out of their way to sign him. He got mentioned a few times when he's with the Cardinals as a possible sleeper. He's going to be used. Okay, he might be a sleeper tight end, but that's like ultra sleeper shit.
Yeah,
deep league sleeper right now. So keep an eye. This is the Panthers. Good luck to Matt Rule. I used to work there too. In case people didn't know that, I was in football operations with them for a year, and Matt Rule was a coach. So I root for them. Those are my guys over there.
Yeah,
I root for them. So
Temple products.
They might be a surprise team. We're all Temple products here. You, me, and Phil. Mike is, we can call him Temple.
He is Temple.
Mike's
Temple too.
But
shut up, Pauls.
Yeah, so that's where it's at. Clear-cut division winner, Bucks. The Bucks.
I got the Bucks. I think the Panthers and the Saints could be battling out for the second spot in division.
Yeah.
And I got the Falcons probably last.
Panthers like ultra dark horse wild card for me, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. Next year, though, look out. It all depends on Sam Darnold. It really does. That whole situation.
That's what they're hoping.
If he can play, they don't need to draft a quarterback, and they're set.
Yeah.
So, and I already said, I'm on record. I've said to Jets fans before, I think he could play. I just didn't like the surrounding circumstances.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, they didn't give him any help. They had no offensive line.
Shout out E. I tried to talk him off that ledge.
He had no offensive line. He had no help. And then, it's funny. He's actually back with Robbie Anderson. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to work out.
Instant chemistry.
And, I'm looking forward to this team. They're going to be very intriguing.
And I was one of those guys. I want to remind everyone before we end the show that I didn't like Darnold coming out of the draft. So when a guy surprises me Like, I got to give props.
Yeah.
So, but that's our show tonight, guys.
Yeah,
Double
let's wrap this
division
up.
show. All right. Next week, top 10 running backs and receivers. We don't know which night is which, but we got.
But stay tuned, though.
We got some
It's
more
coming.
divisions to cover. We're not covering the NFC East. That'll be on our last show because you saved the best for last.
Absolutely.
But we'll have divisions next week. I believe it's the AFC North and NFC North. So these are big time divisions. And yeah. And we'll have one live stream on Monday. And the second show is going to be a recording. It'll come out on Friday. Same as usual. All right? We're almost there. Less than 2 weeks for football.
I can't wait. I can't wait the football season.
September
It's
9th
the
is
best.
around the corner.
Let's go, man.
Bucks Cowboys. I almost said Cowgirls. I gave them a little bit of respect.
Wow.
But they're
I'm
gonna
surprised.
they're gonna be schooled on that Thursday night opener.
We'll
All
see.
right, that's how we're gonna end the show. Nick, take it away.
Guys, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Also, give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we'll see you guys Monday night at P&I live stream, baby.